Okay, yes, you're right.
Great. Debbie, how was the flood? Did you report your damage?
Oh, no. Oh. Okay. Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Yeah. Sound quality is good or bad? That's not helpful.
Oh.
Yes.
Casinos. So Jamie.
So I have 6:30, I'm going to start the webinar.
Thank you, Katie. All right.
Dylan, I just made you a panelist, which at the proper time will allow me to make you a co-host.
To everyone. Okay, thank you. We are just waiting for one other thing to hit quorum. Oh, what. Okay, great. Nice to be here. Yes. Okay, so, I'm Katie Walsh. I'm the head of Transportation Committee for Community Board 7. For Vice Chair. And Jeremy is going to help us kick off this meeting by doing roll.
I just want to demonstrate something for everybody who speaks tonight. We have some audio problems going out over Zoom. We're trying several reasons for this. One of these is we need to make sure everybody uses the microphone properly. So if you see, I am right up close to the microphone and I'm talking at the same volume right now. I'm only a couple of inches away from the microphone. Big difference. So please, when you do speak, go right up close to the microphone. And we're going to start with the roll call. I'm going to call the names of committee members. I'm also going to call committee members. If you're a board member but not a committee member, I do note that you're here, but I'm not going to call your name. If you are joining us on Zoom, please unmute yourself when you hear your name, acknowledge it, and then mute yourself again. Let's start with Katie Walsh.
Present.
Thank you. Thank you. John DeLuca. Present. Thank you. John Body. Jerry Chan. Present. Thank you. That is Kavina Morales Escamilla. Thank you. Of course, I'm too close to the sun and it's bifocals. I can't see her. Diane Gonzalez. Zachary J.C. Daniel Kaminsky. Yep. Oh, thank you. So we do have that. Yep. Roberta Martinez. Thank you. Marilyn Melman.
Here.
Thank you. Jamie Nelson. Sam Sierra. Thank you. Cindy Vanderbosch. Julio Pena.
Present.
Thank you. Roll this one call.
Great, and we reached quorum so that if we have any votes tonight, we can take them. So great, thank you so much. So just at the top, my name is Katie Walsh. I'm the chair of the Transportation Committee. We have 3 agenda items that we're going to go through tonight. Didn't pick it up on your way in. The first agenda item is the street co-naming 36th and 5th Avenue for Dr. Antonia Pizoja, and we'll have a short introduction of that. The next one is the presentation from the mission on passengers, and then the third agenda item, a discussion on trucking, safety, health, environment, and concerns related to last month 3rd Avenue. And we have 2 different groups who will be speaking to that, the New York Environmental Justice Climate Alliance and Uprose. Those are the 3 agenda items. I will just give my appreciation for the committee members on transportation who came tonight. This is the first meeting in person that we've held. We've forgotten any of the meetings that we've done in person, but in the last 3 years. So just appreciate you all showing up and getting here on time so that we could start the meeting right away. I want to call your attention to the next 2 transportation committee meetings that we have. So October 10th, so next week, right around the corner. We're hosting it with the Environment Committee. Broadly, we have 2 agenda topic areas. First one is a presentation from Con Ed, and they'll be talking about infrastructure investments that they're making and comes to the community board. And then the second agenda item is on air quality, and we have 2 entities talk about air quality work that's been happening in Sunset Park, specifically air quality monitoring. And then soon to be announced, so mark your calendar, is second, there'll be another transportation committee meeting, which will be a presentation from the New York City Department of Transportation on feedback from the 3rd Avenue study work that happened. So there's an email that went out 2 days ago now to all board members and transportation committee members. All this is on the community board website. I really encourage you to make sure that you have these. We have a lot of work to do in this committee. Okay, so the first agenda item, I'm really happy to have the transportation committee be able to host this opportunity to talk about the street co-naming. We have a request that has come to us. If also you can pick up the letters and forms that have been submitted on behalf of the request for co-naming for Dr. Antonia Pizoja. And specifically, I want to ask if Pat Ruiz would like to speak about the proposal. Thank you. And if you can speak into the mic. Thank you. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Since we have Julio and I don't know how many other people, viewing us online, what I'd like to do is read to you my letter of submission, to Councilman Ramirez to join the Boricua School Committee, and that I should start. Go back. My name is Pat Ramirez. I'm interim vice chair of Community Board 7. I am also president of the Boricua Festival Committee, and together with the Alliance for Puerto Rican Education, Cynthia Felix, Melissa Rovayo Ortiz, who's co-chair of the Boricua Festival Committee's Alcantara Patoja Youth Leadership Award, we have requested the co-naming of 36th Street and 5th Avenue after Dr. Antonia Patoja. Just recently on Tuesday, the evening of September 26th, we were successful in naming and cutting the ribbon of PS 958 located at 36th Street and 5th Avenue after the Antonia Patoja School building. Really excited about that. So if you just indulge me for a moment, I'm going to read the letter that I submitted. As president and founder of the Boricua Festival Committee, Inc., member and second vice chair of Community Board 7, I am writing to request your support to co-name the corner of 36th Street and 5th Avenue in honor of the late Dr. Antonia Patoja. With your support and that of Community Board 7, API, and many others in the Sunset Park community, we were successful in having the PS 958 school building located at 36th Street named after Dr. Antonia Patoja. She was a formidable figure in the historical development of Puerto Rican and Latinx life in New York, Puerto Rico, California, and beyond during the second half of the 20th century. A Black queer Puerto Rican educator, social worker, and foundational figure in the Puerto Rico, established several groundbreaking institutions in New York and in Puerto Rico. The founder of and the inspiration for numerous organizations that address the social needs and educational aspirations of the Puerto Rican community and Latino youth. She was a leader, an activist, an educator, an author, and a social worker. In 1970, she established the Universidad Boricua, which is now known as Boricua College. She overcame obstacles through determination, discipline, and creativity. Her work was created by individuals, community leaders, and presidents. She was a defender for equal rights in the city school system for bilingual classes for Puerto Rican youth. Her life's work revolved around educational access to the disadvantaged and community self-determination. Dr. Patoja's lifelong mission was to empower community members to speak for themselves. I cannot think of a better way to continue to acknowledge, pay homage, and honor the contributions that she has given to different communities than by claiming the street corner at 36th Street and 5th Avenue, where now stands the new PS 958. Unfortunately, her partner, Dr. William Perry, could not be here online as she had another prior commitment, along with Lillian Jimenez. So we do have her blessings. There is a copy of Dr. Perry's letter on the table for your review. If there's any questions, I guess the procedure, you can go ahead and ask me now, and I will do my best to respond to that. That is the way.
Just for clarification, we're talking about the northwest corner.
You tell me, I don't know why.
Corner of the school.
Yes, the corner of the school. Anyone? Yes, and Lima, how can I help?
Microphone.
So yes, I just.
Yeah, you have to turn it on. Button.
Well, no. Thank you. Okay, just quick question about, thank you guys. So it might not be related to the naming of the school, but I know there's been questions about, the crossing guards being available on that corner. So if there's any updates about, any crossing guards or, is there gonna be any crossing guards available at that corner?
As per my understanding from the last community board meeting that we had here in September, by the 72nd precinct, there is a shortage, and I believe they are working on it. I really do not know how to respond accurately, but that's my recollection of the meeting in September.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we hope to see everybody, try to apply around this, meeting and stuff to see if they could get crossing guards.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions on this, thank you, Pat, really appreciate it. I would like to thank you for recognizing, her leadership and her work and her contributions. So what I'd like to be able to do is to a vote by unanimous consent. And I can do that, and it needs to be second.
Ask you.
Point of information.
Thank you, Julio.
I,
Hang on, we gotta do a stopgap here. Go for it, Julio. Go for
just
it.
a point of information. A motion needs to be introduced to support the street co-naming before a vote can take place.
So you or somebody else would have to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we support only the northwest corner of 36th to 5th Avenue, that Flora, Montonia, and Doha Way.
Okay, so just for those who couldn't hear, there was a motion from the Transportation Committee members, Sam Sierra, that there's a motion on the floor to have the street co-naming of 36th Avenue, North Corner, Dr. Antonio Toha. Floor, seconded by a committee member. It'll be seconded by John DeLuper. Okay, so now
That's for unanimous consent,
Now-
which means if anybody objects to unanimous consent, they should speak up.
great. Okay, so now I'm going to move to unanimous consent. If anyone wants to object, they should do so now.
They can ask for a roll.
And they can for a roll call vote. Hearing none, this has passed by unanimous consent. Thank you. And the next steps is that we would bring this to the October board meeting, which is in a couple weeks.
Like Sam and I love what you said about the Flora Antonia Pantoja way. Can we suggest?
Do you mind just waiting for 1 second? Jeremy wants to give you a mic.
Oh, I apologize. You suggested that.
Can we suggest the name, for example, the name that Sam said, the street, the Flora Antonia Pantoja Way, or is that something that's done by the city council?
Don't know the answer. Jeremy?
We could ask for anything we want, and they could eventually change it. So we should put it in our motion the way we want it to be stated.
I'm not a committee member, so maybe you could.
So Sam made a motion with the language that you like. So we voted on that, and that's what we sent to the full board.
Thank you all.
Great. Great. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you again Pat, for introducing that. Okay, so we're going to move to the presentation from Taxi and Limousine Commission. Presentation.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Please come on up. So as Dylan is joining us, he's the Community and Outreach Manager from the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission. Presentation on vehicles. So, thank you, Dylan.
Thank you. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Chair. I'm glad to be here today. This is sharing my screen.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. You should be able to share your screen now.
Can everyone see the presentation? Great. So my name is Dylan. I'm from the Taxi and Limousine Commission Office of External Affairs. And so our office job is to educate the public and our licensees about changes to our programs, policies, and rules. So I'm here today just to give you an update and let you know a little bit about what we do and what kind of service you can expect. So basically, our agency is the agency that regulates all for-hire vehicles in the city. So that's going to include delivery car, local car services, first lifts, and commuter vans, and also luxury limousines. So we regulate both the licensees, they need a TLC driver's license, and the vehicles themselves, and they need a separate license for that. So the first thing I'm going to go over are the types of vehicles that you see on the road and what they can and can't do. Questions about that. So first is the yellow taxi, also known as a medallion cab, because of the type of license you need for it. But these are the only types of vehicles that can actually pick up and drop off anywhere in the city. So you can hail them at the airports, Brooklyn, Queens, they're all allowed to do pickups and drop-offs in those areas. They'll charge a metered fare when you get in, so always make sure that the meter is running when you get in. It will be the $3 charge plus the additional fees and surcharges that we've added on over the years. But make sure that's running. That means that you're going to be paying a fair price. We also have the e-hail app. So there's a program where you can download an app, and they're listed here: Wave, Mile, Panda, Curve, Arrow. And you can request the yellow cab or green cab to your location similar to like a tour or lift. And you can request upfront payment, so you can see how much it's going to cost in advance instead of using it. And always remember to take your receipt in case you ever lose anything in a taxi or something happens in your ride, you have to make a complaint. That receipt is going to have the identifying information that you need to investigate. So it's always a good idea to keep that. Next, we have the green taxis, which are primarily Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island. And so they're going to be doing pickups in those areas. They shouldn't be picking up anyone below that area in that. They're usually green, and you'll see like the T marking on the side. They have special TLC plates to recognize them. Let's say like T and the C, like in the picture. We do have these new pilot program cars on the road, though. They're sometimes black and they have like a green P on the side. So if you see those actually can't do street pickups. It's a new pilot program. Those can only be dispatched from a base. So if you hail one of those, don't get in. It's not good to do that. And basically, if you get into a cab that doesn't override, there's not going to be insurance coverage for you in case there's an accident. There's going to be no record that trip in case something happens. So there's going to be a lot of problems. Difficulties in it can be avoided. And these green taxis, they charge the metered fare as well. So you get in, the meter turns on, and it starts running these again. The trip, similar to the yellow cabs. And you can get these through the e-hail app. Some bases also can dispatch these. And next are for-hire vehicles. So these are black cars, delivery cars, car service cars. These cannot do street pickups at all. So please don't get into one if you happen. One happens to stop and go on the side of the road. They can only be dispatched from a licensed space or through in-house, like Uber. Those are technically also bases, so either the date or that you call or through an app. And the price is set by the company. And similar to the green cabs, you'll see license plates that begin with T and C and T and LC at the bottom as well. Yeah, so sometimes you'll see cabs that don't have these. They look like cabs, but they don't have the place that they're not registered. That's only in those. And finally, we have commuter vans. So we do license and regulate commuters, although there are many unlicensed vans on the road. To recognize when you see the markings, there'll be a big seat and license commuter van on the side. They'll have a little license sticker and a distinctive license plate as well. And there's a list of vehicles on our website. You can check it out as well. Say news or and also at TLC is a large part of too. So we do a wheelchair accessible vehicle if you need one. So we have a program that we operate called Accessible Dispatch. So there's a website and the phone number here is 846-999-9999, and as well as apps, Android and Apple. So you can request the vehicle, an accessible vehicle to your location. So they'll take you to your destination, schedule one event in advance. If you're going somewhere, you can also request one through a cases that I've also mentioned. So in this section, we're going to move on to rights and complaints. So some common complaints and your rights as passengers and TLC license vehicles. So a combination we have is what to do if you lose a data in a car. So your phone, your wallet, these are common items that are lost. The first thing you should do is if you lost it in your rehab, it's called 311. You file a lost item complaint. So they'll come to our agency, and with the yellow and green caps, we're able to see the trips that they made, so we can try to contact the driver and get your item returned. If you lost it in a livery cab or a local car service or Uber Lyft, you should contact me directly. They'll be able to track down the trip and try to get your item back. But you try to provide as much information as possible, such as the date and time, and identifying information about the vehicle or the driver. That will make it a lot easier for us to track it down and for us to get your stuff back. You can also try one of the lost property precincts. There's a few in each borough, but here in Brooklyn, it's the 76th in the Cobbleville area, and the same employees service. So you can also try reaching out to them if you know you've lost. And you as passengers have rights when you get into the vehicles. There's a full list of rights for each type of vehicle on our website, so you can check it out if you're interested there. But I summarized some points here for you. And these are across all vehicles. So you shouldn't be refused service based on a protected class, and we'll get to that in the next slide. But you have the right to be driven by a TLC driver in good standing with their license on display. So good standing means that they've completed all the licensing requirements, they've taken the necessary classes, and taken a drug test and all those requirements from our agency. A driver who is safe for reason obeys the traffic rules. So we do have our own set of rules in addition to the rules of the road that everyone must follow. So we have our enforcement division that enforces that. They'll find cab drivers who break the rules. The vehicle should be clean. You should have clean air in the vehicle, no smoke or odors, and you should have working safety equipment such as seatbelts. So if you do notice that there's something wrong with the vehicle, it's missing certain features, seatbelts or wheelchair securements that they should have, all 311 point, and that vehicle will be called in for inspection. What's going on? So services, this is a big part of what we try to make people aware of is that you shouldn't be refused service for all these reasons here. So based on your destination, race, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, immigration status, national origin, religion, creed, color, marital and partnership status, or pregnancy. So if you are refused service, if the driver says they're not going to take you based on these, you should definitely report to us through 311, and you can call 311 through hotline, any of the ways available. The drivers have a limited set of circumstances which they can refuse a passenger. shouldn't worry about that. You should report it if you ever feel that your rights have been violated. And so what happens is that these 301 complaints come to our agency. Our agency has investigators and attorneys, and they may reach out to you for additional questions, to try to get additional information to build the case against the driver. So they'll reach out to you, and the driver may receive unlawful violation. And just some other issues that we come across pretty frequently at our office. People feel they're overcharged by taxis or hire vehicles. And it's important, like I said in the beginning, to make sure that when you get yellow or green meters running, so you are charged the price that we set, and you get the receipts, so you can double check. But if you ever feel that way, again, you can report to 311. It goes through a similar consumer complaint process. So what our agencies, our investigators, and attorneys will take a look at your case. And if you ever need a duplicate receipt, you just have to file a phone request, include some information about your trip. So the information is there, oil at tlc.nyc. And so my office contact is right here at the bottom, TLC External Affairs at tlc.nyc.gov. So if you have any other questions or clarification on anything, reach out to me by email or here for any questions. And I see
Yeah, so we will take a few minutes for questions. We have a mic in the back, but we can give you a mic. That's the issue. Okay, how about Cynthia? You're able to go first. I have a question.
Okay, I have a question regarding the Uber surge that occurred on Friday, which was quite disgraceful. We had people who had to pay triple the amount of money. So what are you guys doing to cap the surge pricing? Every time there's a flood, anytime there's heavy rain, heavy snow, even an event at the Barclays Center, if they know there's a concert, they do surge pricing, which is really unfair because the trains were shut down and people couldn't find their way home. My nephew from his school almost had to pay $150 to get home due to the train. And that's really not right. So I would like to know what the TLC is doing about that because they shouldn't be doing that.
Thank you for your question. So all bases do have to have like a schedule of rates per agency. I would suggest that you file a 311 complaint for overcharge, and they'll take a, and the attorneys that are agencies will take a look to see if that fits in with what should be charged.
But if Uber does that all the time, like that's a known thing. Google, they do that all the time. TLC is very much aware. My question is not the process for him to get.
My question is, what is TLC doing? It's a known thing. They do this. It's not the first time, won't be the last. It is a
So it might be the case that they can do that. I don't have that information about what basis can charge. That's not public information, so we would have to follow a FOIL request.
Can I ask the third point question? Does the TLC, you covered it there, I missed it, but does the TLC have the ability to have any control that Lyft does in terms of search pricing? Can you clarify that point?
Specifically, I wouldn't be sure I can get back to you on that, but they are licensed basis, so they have the process.
Okay, so yeah, I think if this is a known issue that they have the ability, if TLC is regulating that, then that is a fair question that I think is especially if we have more of these types of events. Okay, so maybe you can come back to us so then we can worry about it. Can I go to Maria for a question and after that, Jared after that? Wow, this is Our topic, okay, Maria, go for it.
So, then make sure the meter is running when you get in. I'm a little confused about that. If the meter is running, and the car has to move before the meter starts, running, or because it said the meter is running. Because, once, if you have suitcases, if you're busy, if you have a child with you, you're trying to get into, that meter could have been running way before you got into that vehicle. So I'm used to the meter being turned on after I get in the vehicle. And I make sure, well, usually I'm traveling by myself, I go in, I look at it, zero, then I will be press the button or whatever. But that's this one that clarification that do not think that a running meter prior to your getting in is a good idea, because in the rush liquid will be being charged. That's one. I have another question on if the driver tells you to get out. First of all, it's sometimes hard to tell why they're telling you that. And I drove a cab actually in the city of New York for a summer, just for the hell of it. I just wanted to know what it was about, out of many years. But people just got on inebriated, and they were rude. And I said, I don't care. It had nothing to do with color, it had nothing to do with anything. In those days, you didn't have this, you call this and you call, it was very loosely. TLC didn't have too many rules or didn't enforce them or whatever. But a driver could really get, what is the word, jammed up by someone who arrived inebriated. How serious is the investigation before a driver who felt that they were in danger or something could go wrong? Is it on the word of the passenger? Well, I was there, he wouldn't let me in. I present as whatever profile or the way I sound or whatever. How thorough is your, the way the TLC investigates?
Thank you. And then we'll go to, actually, before you answer, is that you have the two parts of the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first part again was on the meter. Yeah, so it should be when you get in, right? So the driver should be starting the meter before he stops. But yes, my point for that was that the meter, when you get in, the meter should be running. There's some bad actors that will not turn on the meter at all, and they will try to negotiate with you. But that's, yeah, but yeah, so.
And it goes on, if you're vigilant and it goes on before that he or she, starts moving, then that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, so that was part one, and part two was, so the service reviews of complaints, those are gonna come, directly from the public. Our enforcement unit may do some enforcement activities around that issue, but, they're mainly gonna come from the public, so it's gonna be people filing 311 complaints and the information that goes into the complaint. So it's always a good idea to take some pictures if you have any, take some notes if you feel like you may forget any details, and then the attorneys may call you back to get further information.
Thank you.
They'll make the determination.
Okay. What I'm going to actually do is ask, thank you for your response. I'm going to ask for the two questions. We'll ask them, and then we'll ask, so we can go to the next agenda. So Melissa, hold your question, and then we'll go to Mary. Yeah.
So my question is specific to the accessibility of TLC.
How many,
Keep talking.
how many,
Mic on the wall.
how many, wheelchair accessible
Vehicles do you have on the road? And are the many vehicles still interborough, like within the state of the borough?
Yes, so
and Jeremy's question?
extra charge, people go home, which, right, what is TLC doing, right, to make sure that whatever it costs, doesn't go back to the consumer. That's my question.
Okay, great. So wheelchair accessibility, green vehicles, interborough, and then what is TLC's official stance on pedestrian pricing, the way it relates to consumer
So for the number of wheelchair accessible vehicles, I will have to get back to the board on that. I just have to look at our data and see what I can send. For the green cabs, yeah, so the green cabs are still around. Yeah,
pricing? Interborough, did they go with?
yes, they can go. You can hail them in Upper Manhattan or any of the other boroughs, and they'll take you to any destination.
But they're not restricted.
No, yeah, they don't, there's no restriction that they stay in the borough that you help them.
Thank you.
And then congestion pricing, so for congestion pricing, it's through the MTA, so we don't have, the information you have is the information that I have on that right now. So I don't really have an update on that. When you do get into a category 400 vehicle, there already is a congestion charge, and that's been like that since 2019.
Okay, we'll take two more questions. You have to go to the mic. So that's go up and get you out, please. Just, but yeah, be sure you ask the mic.
Question, who at TLC, is enforcing those, dollar bans, the illegal dollar bans? As you say, I'm a bus driver. They make life very difficult for us. So who in TLC do we contact? I'm also a union officer. So who do we contact to enforce the illegal commuter bans off the road? Who
Yeah, so that would be our TLC enforcement unit. So the best thing you can do is you can call 311, or I'll give you the enforcement email before I go.
Sure.
Okay, yes, I just wanted to say, this is a little bit personal for me because about 11 years ago, I did have to, about 11 years ago, I had to take a cab to take my final test to graduate, right? So I didn't really have the funds to go to this is going to be a statement for the TLC and for the companies that oversee. So, you guys have to have oversight, please, for the companies that are doing your job for you guys. Because, like I said, it's personal for me. 11 years ago, I had to take a test. I had to cab driver. It was a yellow cab. It was a yellow cab to drop me off about like 15 blocks away from where I had to take a test where I had to graduate from. Like 15 blocks. So I had to run. I know I didn't have the funds, but I had to run because I noticed that after they told me to stop, I told them, one second. Look. Yeah, so they go, so I had to like stop the cab about 15 blocks, 20 blocks away from where I had to take my test at. And I had to run it to the test. So I couldn't fail and pass and graduate. But after the test, the point at TLC, after the amount I had to pay, they charged like an extra $3, $4, $5 or something like that. And I was surprised, but luckily I paid it off, but I had to run like 15, 20 blocks to where I had to take the test. This is personal for me because why don't they be more transparent, right? You guys please have to oversee that you guys have to be more transparent with the amount that they're going to charge, or if there's a surcharge. Please explain to the public, put more commercials on TV, something that you guys have to do to have more oversight. Okay, because it affects everyday lives of America. Anybody here that needs to take a cab. And I would appreciate that very much. You bring that to the PLC company.
All right, yeah, thank you. I'm sorry that happened to you. But we do, so some of you might remember a walk like many years ago, those rates used to be on the side door taxis. Now they're online. You can check out our website. There's a lot of different scenarios, so it'd be very difficult to list out all those. Side of the cabin.
And thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it. And thank you for, doing it. Great.
I just want to follow one question on what Gabino mentioned about the fees. So do all fees, are they supposed to hit as soon as they happen? So like you cross the bridge, you get the toll, and then the congestion fee or there's an efficiency fee or something like this, these are supposed to happen when the meter starts, or they happen at the end of the trip?
That I'm not sure. I can actually get back to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great. All right. Thank you, Dylan. We are going to go to our next agenda item, which is on Bradley. We have some discussion items related to trucking safety, health, environment concerns, last mile trucking and Third Avenue. Before we go, got both Kevin and Sebastian here. I actually see the assembly member, our simultaneous rep is here and wanted to provide. Want to go second? You want to go second? No worries. Okay, great, Sebastian. Please join us up here. If you'd like. Okay, so as they're getting up, I'll just say we had Community Board 7 had a special committee on last mile trucking. We started that, worked on it through a 2-year period. We have brought those issues that can be large and problematic, challenging in our district into the transportation committee. So what we're doing right now is just to get a quick update from some organizations that are working on this issue. So turn over, Kevin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Garcia. I am the transportation planner with the New York City Environmental Justice Alliance, and here with my colleagues from Uprose, one of community-based organization members. We are part of the Last Mile Coalition. It's a citywide coalition looking last mile warehouses that are popping up here in Sunset Park, but all throughout the city, state, the region, and the country. So what we've done is submitted a zoning text amendment, which would essentially define what these warehouses are and create a special permit so that the community has the ability to suggest what they would like to see with these last mile warehouses. Right now, because they're unregulated, they can be constructed as of right, meaning that there's no public review process. There's no review process. So the same day, next day deliveries are unaccounted for. So it's leading to a lot more vehicle idling, a lot more traffic, and a lot more air pollution. So we submitted our application in September of 2022. So basically a year ago, and we had a couple of different meetings with the Department of City Planning, who oversees zoning. And one of the things that they tasked us with is creating an analysis looking at what the city would look like if this zoning text amendment were to go through the special permit process, where you all would then have to say the voice, say whether you want a last mile warehouse in your neighborhood or not. So we are working on that analysis. At the same time, we have been raising awareness about last mile warehouses and issues of the siting of them. So some of the key successes we had is we had a letter of support from the Bronx Community Board 2. We also had the Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso, sign up to our application as a co-applicant, which just shows that his dedication to reducing air pollution and improving air quality in the borough is at the forefront of work. At the end of July, we presented comments to the City Planning Commission for the City of Yes for carbon neutrality, where we noted that if the city really wants to achieve their carbon neutrality goals or their climate targets, they need to do something about the siting and operation of last mile warehouses. And tomorrow I am planning to testify at the City Council hearing around the City of Yes for carbon neutrality again. Reiterating the comments I and my colleagues delivered to the Planning Commission, that they need to do something about the siting and operation of last mile warehouses. So that's basically the update with the last mile coalition. Happy to answer any questions folks have. Over to Sebastian.
Maybe I'll just add a point and then ask you or John to jump in specifically on the City of Yes. Text amendment proposal is going ahead. So you're mentioning that there's a city council hearing tomorrow. I just wanted to share that hearing the Department of City Planning, Community Board 7 submitted a letter. So Community Board 7 when the City of Yes talking about some of the challenges and concerns that we have in the district related to that zoning text. Of the issues that were raised last month, tracking facilities. My understanding is in the Community Board 6, which is in Red Hook, also submitted a letter to the City of Yes. So just make that point. Are there any questions directly, Kevin? Or yeah, so after everybody else. So Marilyn, we can bring you mic, or do you want to go to the mic in the back? Whatever is easiest for you. We'll bring the mic over just so that we can accessible for folks. Thank you.
And I just want Jeremy's in that. And you want to say thank you for submitting that letter. We definitely use it as a reference for a lot of the comments and presents to the commission and presents more.
Thank you. I've been hearing this term environmental justice or this. Could you just explain environmental justice? What does that mean?
Yeah, of course, I'm happy to do that. So a lot of times when we think about improving the environment, we think about like planting trees, really think about the planet. But what we don't acknowledge is that like a lot of communities have been disproportionately impacted by the siting and including infrastructures. So think about New York City, the placement of highways, the siting of last mile warehouse, where bus depots are, right? Like there's a bus depot here in Sunset Park, and not because you all asked for it, right? Like yes, it's great that bus depots here because then you have the buses coming a little bit quicker, but you all have to deal with the air pollution. When the buses come back. They're in the depot, being operated or stay warm, and that's unfair to you all. So it's
Yes, that's where they put their teeth. What do you want to do now? I don't understand.
So do you have Marilyn, do you have a question that you want to add to that? If not, we
I don't believe. I mean, when there's pollution in Sunset Park, there's pollution in Park Slope also. I mean, the planet is small. So you're saying, oh, it only comes here.
So actually, we'll go to the next question, but I do want to invite you as transportation member, but also everyone else. So there is this meeting that's happening this week, which is on October 10th, and we are going to get a presentation on State of New York funded work on air quality specifically in Sunset Park, and it shows how high the pollutants are compared to other communities, and it shows significant impact to, basically a ticking time bomb for all of us that we're inhaling. So we can talk about the historical legacy of Robert Moses and the Fort. We can talk about all of that, but I think it's like, what is the situation exactly? So what are we going to do now? So there's some bold conversations that we need to be having. That's for another night. So we'll just focus on questions for Kevin, and then we do have another presenter, so you can pose your question. Maria, thank you. And then I see another hand that's up here.
So the entire, your work is focused not just on Sunset Park, but different areas of New York City or Brooklyn or South Brooklyn, where there is a concentration because we have always been a working class. We also were an industrial area. That's a footprint of Sunset Park, like the South Bronx, like other communities. And all these communities have a line like working class, people of color, industrial, and where for many years people did not think that it was, they had the right to ask questions and to say, listen, all our children have high rates of asthma. This has to stop. And we knew it was known. It was known decades and decades ago. This was the problem. So is the work you're doing exclusive to certain communities or just New York City as a whole?
New York City as a whole, but when we look at where the last mile warehouse sited, it's wherever a warehouse is sited. So it's all the manufacturing. So like, look at this map. Everywhere that it's seen, if that plot of land is open, then a last mile warehouse can be built there. And no one here can raise any flags or anything like that. They can be built right. We got no review process.
Okay, we have another question here. By session.
I guess my question is, I believe the borough president, I don't know if he specifically introduced it, but I guess like the only say with the proposal that's going on from south of the Brooklyn Bridge that they might tear down the FDR intermunicipal part. And I believe this question could be for Uprose too, that if that could be something that Uprose could be looking into with the BQ here, like maybe a proposal tearing it down and making a whole park, because as someone who lives in Third Avenue and who has been affected by cars constantly going and my whole family growing up with asthma, so there's parts of Sunset Park who, especially Third Avenue, who feel the effect of last mile and just pollution in general compared to other neighborhoods, quote unquote, parts of. Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, so thank you for that question. And also, Katia and Farah, thank you for your questions as well. We haven't delved into the plan that the Manhattan Borough President is doing around FDR, in Manhattan. But we are doing work around the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. And staff will talk more about that because a lot of this work does interconnect, right? So these last mile warehouses are demanding a lot of trucks, right? And to get to Queens, a lot of times they have to come in through the BQE. So it's all connected, but so I should talk more about the BQE work that we're doing as well.
Okay, and then Jeremy.
So quickly plug for the next meeting and an explanation. So now with regard to environmental justice, it's not about the existence of these facilities, concentration in certain communities. And I think the presentation that we're going to get on the 10th is going to show that there are certain communities in Brooklyn that have concentration of such facilities, which has a negative impact on the population there. Now, quickly, you brought up City of Yes, which the City Council is about to vote on. But the next, which the Community Board wrote a letter about, including about last mile trucking. The next City of Yes proposal for for economic opportunity. That's probably going to be certified sometime in the next 2 weeks. And I had a briefing on that a couple of weeks ago, and once certified, the community board will have a meeting on that. And again, I brought up last mile trucking, which it does not address. I thought that opportunity would be a good vehicle for that. Actually, it does address it, but I think in a terrible way, in that they want to make mini version of these last mile facilities, distribution district. So I'm wondering if the DJ community has a position on that yet, or if you're waiting for it to be certified, and if there's any potential language that you can share with us that these are, by the way, these are my concerns. Our board has not addressed this yet, but I have a feeling this is going to be a
Thanks, Jeremy. So spoiler alert, yes, we are looking at how we can sort of plug in our last mile coalition zone text amendment into the city of for economic opportunity, based on the 18 and 19 proposals in this. We have identified maybe 3 locations, what were 3 proposals where there is some overlap, including the last, not the last mile, the mini distribution centers, right? What the city is doing is they know it's an issue, and they're trying to do like little band-aids on on the issue, right? They're not solving the issue of fighting, fostering, and operation of these warehouses. So the power up and see report that just came out, last week, and there's like low emission zones, using maritime transportation, but nothing. The siting, fostering of these facilities, which is like a very, very big issue. At the state level, there's the state bill called the indirect source rule that Senator maintains is the sponsor of the assembly. And that's something also that, another coalition working called Washington, New York is pushing for to be adopted on all these that are produced because of trucks and vans and creating the emission reduction program. So that would include making them switch over to electric vans or alternative modes of transportation and all.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Appreciate it. And don't go far because there might be some follow-ups for you. Thank you so much.
All right, can everyone hear me okay? Fantastic. Well, thank you, Committee Board 7, Transportation Chair, our Transportation Committee, for hosting this meeting. I'm Sebastian, the Just Transition Coordinator at Uprose. And I'm going to give an update about where things stand on the DQE, what the city and the state are doing about it, and how this relates to last mile traffic. So as many people are surely familiar, the DQE is very harmful to communities, and not in either way. People right next to the DQE on Third Avenue, for instance, they experience a lot more noise, a lot more of the air pollution, a lot more of the heat coming from all the pavement of the highway, a lot of the danger of the streets, intersections under the viaducts, more differently than people who live next to a park or away from these industrial facilities along the water. And now that's not to say that we're getting rid of these industrial facilities because they are important. They tend to be better than jobs in the service sector. But a lot of the harm of the DQE, again, needs to be mitigated. And so the city and the state's departments of transportation, they're trying to address this through federal application for federal funding. So as people are surely aware, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, as well as the Inflation they basically created a massive infrastructure, and this includes now
this isn't just for expanding highways, which we know will not reduce congestion, it will only increase the number of trucks, the number of vehicles, the amount of traffic on these highways, but rather move away from the use of trucks, which are harmful in and of themselves, even if they are converted to electric batteries. So we're not entirely sure what the city and the state are looking at, but based on conversations we've had with elected officials, our own wrangling of DOT's people, we know that they are looking at least one design concept for the area around the BQE in South Brooklyn. So this is between Sand Street and the Cobble Hill area, Cobble Hill, Brooklyn Heights area, and the Arizona Bridge. Again, what exactly this entails, unclear. So we're hoping to talk to other organizations, talk to other elected officials to actually see what our own state and city governments are asking the federal government for money for. It's kind of shocking that we don't know what they're asking for in terms of money. What they're asking for in terms of art. That's an update on where that stands. But in terms of us at Uprose and us, in terms of the New York City Environmental Justice Alliance, we've created a coalition to reduce the harms of the BQE, whether or not the city and the state DOT decide to do that in their applications or in their own work. Our job is basically to push the DOT to invest in our communities. And by investing in our communities, again, not widening the highway, rather addressing the harms that have been rampant for decades, and most of the people's lifetimes. People who have been in Sunset Park or people who have been in other highway areas in Brooklyn and Queens. So what exactly are we doing? What exactly are we advocating for? Well, as people are sure familiar, there are other ways of moving freight, there are other ways of moving people. Uprose has advocated for the restoration of the B37 line, so mass transit and union jobs. We can get some support. We know that mass transit is really important, especially when extreme weather threatens the subways and Brooklyn shuts down and people can't get to schools, to workplaces. That's when the buses come in, that's when mass surface transit really is the backbone of our community. This also means improving access to the waterfront, that's through biking and pedestrian access. So anyone who's tried to cross under the B3 on 3rd Avenue probably knows that it's dangerous. You know, maybe your life is not completely at risk, but especially if you're a child or a person with special needs, it's difficult to make the lights to avoid the cars turning, the trucks that are speeding and making noise. It's a very nerve-wracking environment, as people are surely aware. So part of what we're advocating for is the re-implementation of the Sunset Park Freeway Agreement. So as people may or may not be familiar, this was a plan to create and unify the Brooklyn waterfront through a cycling and walking corridor, at least in Sunset Park. But I'm sure people are aware, places like Williamsburg, like Greenpoint, even downtown Brooklyn, they've got all the infrastructure and have that continuous corridor. But at places like Sunset Park, where despite the need for such waterfront corridors, they haven't gotten that investment. So to your point, that is environmental injustice. Why is it that these wealthier areas that have political power and that have resources, why do they have those amenities that are essential for our well-being, for our transportation? I'll answer the comment later. Why do they have that infrastructure investment? Why does Sunset Park not? So that's what we're advocating for as part of the federal funding that the city and the state are looking for to our open communities. Because biking up hills, you know, it's kind of sketchy, and doing it on the streets is really, really dangerous. So really ensuring that the area around the B3, under the B3, is safe for pedestrians and cyclists, ensuring that we have more mass transit to move around the neighborhood, and again, connecting the working waterfronts to the upland areas, which is all consistent with community-based planning that Uprose has done over the past 10 years. So, correction, at least the last 10 years, 25 years, even longer. way before I was even born, but I figured that's
Don't.
yeah, we're not even talking about that. But basically that's where things stand in terms of the design of the feature, where we stand in terms of business advocacy. Over the next few months, we're hoping to continue talking to other organizations at the park that may or may not have a focus on transportation, but who serve residents that are interested in having access to waterfront sport, being able to get to their jobs, to healthcare facilities in a safe and timely way. Because, you know, it's one thing to have the transportation amenities there, but then the always being clogged up by double parked cars or trucks making deliveries. So that's where we're at. That's what we're trying to do. My colleague Nebraska, he has passed around a fact sheet about some of the stuff that I talked about, where we're at in the B3 process, and how you can get involved. So if you have any questions outside of this meeting, you can contact Transportation Justice at uprose.org. And if you want to learn more about what's going on, participate in a workshop, that will be the go-to avenue for contact information and get more involved. So with that, I will take questions.
We'll go to questions. I just want to add to what Sebastian said, and again, this went out to folks, so just to flag. So on Monday, November 6th, in person, and then on November 8th, virtually at 6:30, there's going to be visioning meetings that the city Department of Transportation is hosting. So that many of you showed up for the 3rd Avenue revisioning sessions in the spring, and you also showed up for the BQE revisioning sessions. 3rd, we all went to different sessions. So please come back, make time for those, the in-person on the 6th and or the virtual on the 8th at 6:30. To Sebastian's point, the city is going to be talking about some of the proposals, what they are putting forward. So we'll go to questions before we go to Emmett from the office. Okay, so sorry, first.
Experience has taught us that the benefits, some of which you alluded to, why do the richer communities have this and that we don't? One very careful because the devil is in the details. And that access to the water, that connectivity which has come at a very high cost. The city is saying, okay, we will do that. We will find the funding for the side of that whole operation of uniting and landscaping. But that is only, we're only going to find it if we allow developers to build very tall at the water's edge. And so what in fact happens here is, I asked it at the beginning, in a way, that how are we protect, what is the protection in the methodology so that we don't get boxed in, lose our view from Sunset Park, which already was hinted at in recent gathering, this very room a few days ago, that there is a flood already happening connected to the BOA development. So that we get boxed in the edge, that the people who can afford the edge get the view, and then we are sitting behind the 20-story, 30-story, 40-story, 50-story condos from where the money came for that park and the this and that. So what is the plan? Where, how are we being protected from that?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a fantastic question. And definitely something that we've considered at Uprose. If you're not familiar, we have the Green Resilient Industrial District 2.0. Yep. And that plan, the years of community-based advocacy and planning and engagements, it essentially calls for the protection of the working water. So it's keeping the waterfront industrial as is today. Ideally, people who are currently living there, they're able to find homes that are safer, more energy efficient, further away from the storm surge zones that you can expect with flash flooding, with hurricanes. But the direct answer to that is we want to make sure that these investments come not at the cost of displacement. And so again, all this infrastructure, it has to be made not just for, or not for residents who are just moving in or who are being catered to by real estate developers, but rather the people who have been here in this neighborhood for a hot minute. And yeah.
And just displacement. It is we changing the quality of life and for this neighborhood for people who cannot afford a terrace, who cannot afford a backyard, where the parks, our beautiful Sunset Park provides you with that solace, that ability to at the end of a hard day, be able to look at the water, which is mental health. Because the city said, well, you wanted connectivity, you wanted this, you wanted that, and then in a leisure demand is back of the in a closed room with 3 guys. Well, the only way we could get the money was to do it with you want that connectivity. We gave it to you, and then we are blocked in, and then we lose what we already have, what has been here all along for everybody.
And I'll call on, we have 2 questions. Again, we still have one other presentation discussion. So Marilyn, and then
one question, one comment. The BQE is under Brooklyn Heights, which is one of the richest neighborhoods in the whole city, number one. Number 2, you're talking about reducing truck. This is a big commercial industrial city. How, if you reduce truck traffic, how do you propose that delivery is get to stores?
Yeah, so I think that's a fantastic question because this freight and this industrial activity, that's what we want to see in Sunset Park. That's what we want to see across the city. Those jobs are important. The goal is not to eliminate the traffic completely, but rather move it to alternative modes of freight. So as people know or may know, Sunset Park has a number of rail facilities, so the 65th Street Yard, the 51st Street Yard, and various state and federal agencies are looking at reactivating those yards so that a lot of this traffic, instead of coming over to Verrazano or coming over to Washington and making its way to Sunset Park, it arrives by Maritime, which Sunset Park is blocked with those for that infrastructure or rail infrastructure. And then in terms of the last mile, the city is also looking at distributing these packages not by Amazon vans or trucks, but rather by electric bikes and not generating all this traffic along the BQE.
So what about deliveries to stores like Costco? You're gonna have one. How are they gonna deliver this?
Well, we're advocating for the last one that a lot of this traffic be diverted to cargo bikes, to rail, to maritime. It's possible. We think it's possible, and it doesn't have to be in a truck. We might need to keep some trucks, but reduce the overall vehicle model.
Once you bring it in by ship, you have to get it to the store. The ship can't go down the street or the train. So,
of course, well, again, we're advocating for a comprehensive network of freight distribution. So, for instance, the federal government just last November, they announced $5 million to improve a harbor landing on the 29th Street Pier so that a lot of these deliveries that would otherwise come from trucks, they will be operated from ship onto e-bikes. So again, it's possible. It is ambitious, of course, but it is possible, and that's what we're advocating for.
Thank you. And we'll go to our next question from Daniel.
Dan is fine. More than anything, I just want to say hi. The new committee member. This is my first transition meeting. I had a few things after the view. So I had a couple of
one comment and questions. Firstly, in terms of comment you mentioned for heights, I think that's a really good example. That is the one section of the BQE where the highway is out through the community. That's the section with the potential of it. And so I think that kind of gets a big historical injustices that others have talked about the legacy and okay, so now in terms of questions, one. Last I tuned into this conversation, there was, so, the state owns some of the 19 files of that BQE, and from my understanding, the state DOT has been totally absent, and I'm curious if that is still sort of the case, or if they made some overages on the proposed bits. That's question one. Question two, I heard there was some debate on this 2-lane, and like what Adam was saying, and I thought something like that was kind of updates on the conversation. And then 3 was for last milestone. I know less about it. I'm sure people here are more familiar with City of Yes, so if they already don't much. But what I'm hearing you say, or I'm is sort of a unified process for the warehouse. That kind of looks in that case is a proposal. What's in that? Good to know you. Yeah, I can answer.
Oh, we have a state assembly member rep who's here, so I think for the state DOT involvement, we can ask him to answer that. In the next section, but if you want.
The assembly member, the state update, the short update, the short thing is the state DOT has elected to come to this, retransforming the area around the BQ and the park family. As for the second question, the 3 lanes versus the 2 lanes for the triple canceller, again, it's unsure, or it's unclear what exactly the DOT wants to do. I think they are considering both options. But in any case, for Sunset Park, that money that they're applying for in Brooklyn Heights, they're not considering shrinking or expanding the highway itself in Sunset Park, which is good in the sense that they're not expanding it, and in the sense that they're not considering reducing the truck traffic in Sunset Park and other neighborhoods. So that's where we come in, pros, partners, New York City Environmental Justice Alliance, to advocate, even outside of this process, to reduce the going through the BQ. And the third questions, again, I'll refer to Sebastian and I understand that question. So the way the City of Yes is working for any amendment works is once it's approved, in the green line by the city planning, then it's voted on by the city planning commission. And at which point it's supposed to also presented to and shared with every community board. And then if the city planning commission votes yes, it then is supposed to be and goes to the New York City Council. And then they vote to adopt it or not. Now, with our zoning text amendment application for last mile warehouses, once that special permit process is adopted, right? So New York City Council says, yes, like this, let's move forward with it. Then every single last mile warehouse that is proposed, every single one will have to go through that ULIP process. So that, when they submit that application, just like every zoning, they're going to have to go through the community board, through the council, or the borough president, and the subcommittees on the council to the council. Yeah. Thank you.
A couple more questions.
Let me just say that city planning said that it was not, the last mile items were not in its City of Yes proposal because they're working on it separately. I actually see no evidence that they are.
Maybe a question. Okay.
All right. So I want to ask 2 follow-ups to Sebastian, actually, about something you mentioned. First, you discussed some of the proposals you made in favor of the upland connectors to connect the waterfront. And I was curious whether you're talking about adding new connectors or finishing the ones that you previously worked on. As far as I can tell, I know the city made significant progress, but the ones that I know you guys did lots of workshops and coordination with DOT, but there's still areas that are unfinished on that. And then the second question was related to how you're factoring in your study. You mentioned all the issues for things, all the issues related to living around Third Avenue, but are you also factoring in the conditions involved in maintaining that fossil fuel infrastructure? And I'm thinking of that specifically because right now the city is doing a big process of repainting the BQE, and that's causing problems not only with paint, but also adding to the dangerous conditions by closing intersections, and that yields its own set in addition to those inherent in living next to that kind of thing. So we hope we can answer both this question. Thank you.
Yeah, as for the first question, whether the upland connectors are the finishing the implementation of the existing project or implementing new upland connectors, I think that's a question for the community to decide. I remember in my research reading that in 2017, there was a lot of community engagement with the DOT. I think that work needs to continue, obviously, in terms of implementing those upland connectors that have not been implemented, or that have only been partially implemented. But I think now that we've witnessed all these extreme weather events, the need for reducing flash flooding, increasing open space access, decreasing the amount of pavement that we have on our streets, I think that there is significant need to build upon that existing upland connector proposal with making our streets more safer, more resilient. And I think that's going to be part of our process, hopefully, the next few months, to look at how do we update this plan and finish the work, and not just need it for yesterday, but for tomorrow. So that's for the community to decide. As for the second question, factoring in the construction, repavement of the BQE, yeah, we actually held a BQE community workshop back in August, and a lot of the concerns were that, yeah, always undergoing construction, it's always noisy, there are always closing lanes. It's a very invasive process for the community. So I think that's in terms of where we stand on that. That's just another reason why we need to think about the BQE long term, and not just constantly put any changes on preparing part of the road deck or part of the side, but really thinking about how we transforming the use of this roadway comprehensively. And that's where the community would.
I'm gonna move to the next presenter, and then we'll come back to any Q&A, just because we have here. So, Emmett, you can say, but don't go far. But thank you, Sebastian. Okay, so Emmett. Great, thank you so much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Chief of Staff to State Assembly Member Salvatanas. First, I will talk about the BQE. We know how hard the State Department of Education has been with trying to engage the community, especially in the communities of Brooklyn, and we're working about this issue. Just for clarity, the city DOT and the city itself owns the cantilever part, which is part of Central Portland in New York, and the state owns the rest of Brooklyn North and South. Anything that's up the cantilever all the way to possibly horizontal, and we work all the way to like the edge things. That is all owned and managed by the state itself. It has been really, really difficult. I do want to get things to cheer. The transportation community move where it's also for us for like having engaged. So just a little update of what happened between the start of the year and so now. We approached the state, the New York State Commissioner Gonzalez on this issue. We need to get the department more involved. She heard a concern. She told us it's not like it's going to happen. That was followed up by a joint meeting between all of the state assembly members and all state senators who represent both North, South, and Central around March. Where we met with three individuals, we met with the governor, we met with the Department of Transportation Commissioner herself, and we also met with the State Director of Operations, Catherine Garcia, about getting the State Department of State Transportation involved, especially on ground and reconnecting communities. Same Sunday services on that. Recently, there was a meeting that was called last Tuesday or the state body decided, you know what, we're gonna get engaged, we're gonna at least listen. This is a meeting that my colleague was actually just talking about, and I do have a couple of updates I do want to share with you guys. I took notes here, so just make sure I'm so first, the city and the state DOT are going to submit an application for about 5.6 million out of the 7 million total to conduct a survey around the possibility of just reviewing and advancing potential options based upon community stakeholder feedback. So this is a commitment that they're going to actually proceed and actually conduct the survey. At least they're going to conduct the survey. At the moment, it's going to be one full submission application that covers both north and south on that survey. They'll decide if they'll do both projects. At the moment, the state DOT was at that meeting, but unfortunately, they did not engage with the elected officials who were present. The state elected, the state representative who was there was Navarro Lopez, who is the deputy secretary to Governor on transportation. I do want to give thanks to State Senator Bernard as well as some other joint time who have been leading this issue overall, trying to get the state involved. Especially recently, we submitted a letter directly to State DOT, just advocating to make sure that they are able to get more involved, but also making sure that the letter of support that we submitted to the city DOT, that most of the we haven't submitted our feedback. We want to make sure that the letter of support also includes that we look at the whole, corridor around Brooklyn, North, and South. Gets looked at holistically, the consideration of public engagement, making sure that there's multiple commitment changes for the communities to actually be able to put in all the comment, as well as the commitments made to a lot of the EG consensus, especially in South Park, where we know that there's a lot of public schools that are actually, especially recently, public that were just in the process of being built along the BQE, which doesn't make any sense at all. So that's the quick update on where we are in regards to the station. The tax number is A1718. It's called out the Clean Deliveries Act, and just for what the bill does, it basically does two things. The reporting process that will regulate, but also create a hearing process for warehouse distributors to apply to if they want to fill any warehouse facilities within New York State. As this was by uprose at the moment, especially in New York City, a lot of spaces that these facilities are being built and being built as of right because of local zoning context and rules. These facilities mostly exist and are concentrated in communities that are working class and are portion around line, not just in New York City and Brooklyn, but there's also large concentration in Queens Point, the Bronx, the Rockaways, and Queens, and also in upstate like Syracuse, Rochester. So just nothing will happen this year between January and the end of the budget session, and also the other legislative session. We were able to get the last small single raise act to be a priority for the Public Engagement Caucus, which is a pretty influential group of legislators within New York State. But unfortunately, we were not able to get we were able to get a legislative briefing that was done by ALO and as well as Kevin from the Clean Deliveries Coalition to be able to present to the people legislators within the Senate. At the moment, now that the legislative session has ended, we're starting to slowly do that. The state senator for the bill is now Mike Gennards, who represents the district of Queens and also the number of concentrations of these facilities in the area. And we're currently at the moment, we're looking at possibly amending the bill or details to come later to include the waiver provisions so that we can further grow the coalition of us as it stands. At the moment, we are looking to launch our state law campaign for this reside sometime after Thanksgiving. We're looking at Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Given this is the a lot of people are utilizing, the internet to buy use. And we're looking to also, we're looking at the moment two tours within the Assembly District one. We're looking to do one possibly in Redmond, and we're looking to do one in Sunset Park. We want to invite the communities, we want to invite DJ groups, or also are looking to continue engaging with the park consideration to also move off the site. The Commissioner Basil has visited Redmond last year. And the tour that was conducted and hosted up by Redmond Initiative as well as other communities. We want to make sure that we start either to that's where we are. We cut one thing. We have been working closely with the Clean Deliveries Coalition. There is this letter of support that has circulated. I believe as of May, there's about 60 statewide organizations that have signed on. We're starting to get more sign-ons. And we're about to also submit we're going to circulate a lot of support among the Assembly and the Senate and the Law Center to make sure that we're able to start going up. Unfortunately, we cannot implement our Clean Deliveries Act until we return back to legislative session in the budget in January, but this is going to be one of the going to be advocating for in the coming year. That's fine.
Thank you so much. And thank you. There might be some follow-up questions. I just wanted to state down here. So for this is the Reconnecting Communities Act, which the Assembly member alongside reps advancing and trying to get EQs now included as part of that proposal. So just Community Board 7, we were on the record asking City DOT for a way to weigh into the proposal before it went in at the end of September, is our understanding. And they didn't give us a chance to weigh in.
Even stronger, they ignored us.
Well, yes, we followed up and followed up and followed up, saying that we were concerned and that the message got back to us like, oh, there's nothing that is about us. But basically, we haven't seen it. So should we FOIA? We should get copies of it. We should was put in from the city and state. So just a reminder, like all of you, many of you online, you participated in these meetings, you participated in Third Avenue meetings. We have no idea what was collected, and feedback from the community has not been reflected back to us. So DOT is coming to a meeting that we're having November 2nd that we mentioned. There's also these BQE meetings, 6 and 8, which I mentioned against rights that we're not. I will just open up to any questions let's have for the yes.
Clarification.
Okay.
On the special
I
permit,
just
more a request for clarification. On the special permit for the request for a special permit for the last mile facility. Does that special permit process get handled by the Department of City Planning, or is it something that someone could approach the Board of Standards and Appeals, given that we're dealing with a unique site, one site? Like, is there sort of a back door here that could be used to avoid a full dealer with an EIS and the like, as we as our EISs are in the city of New York? That's A. B. Any work on strengthening the scope of an EIS so that it actually is an EIS? Kind of 10 blocks this way, 400 feet the other way, and it don't look too hard because there's nothing going on here, which is what happened with, we've seen it before here. It happened with Industry City, it happened with 735, 740
7:47, 7:45, with that, and I can go my notes.
Yeah, Maria, so, with regards to the special permit, do you mean the city level or the state level? Okay, so, at the city level, we don't know any backdoor, if there was a special permit process for any small warehouses, we don't know any, backdoor way for these small warehouses to, continue to be without, any public process or being built as a frame.
That there is a process, but it's handled by the board standards and appeals instead of the, which is a.
It wouldn't be PSA, it would be through the regular ULIP process, so, the community board would find out, and then also the borough president, and then, land use, subcommittee for the council, and then the entire council there. But, you can, when a new one be proposed, it would be listened to by the new board, so then you can voice your concern, you and all of the neighbors. And there is, in order to be granted a special permit, there will have to be findings by the Department of Transportation, including that this last mile warehouse won't basically create more vehicular traffic. And then there would also be findings from the Department of Environmental Protection, DEP. And there's also a lot of other setbacks that we've included where, any new last mile warehouse would have to be 1,000 feet away from school, public housing, senior housing, and then 1,000 feet. And then also from any other last mile warehouse. So 1,000 feet is basically, a block from east to west. Yeah. So
That's what we've seen here before. We all know, maybe it's no secret, that the requirements, the scope, the net that is cast around the site to prove that their operation is not going to have significant impact on the surrounding community is so low that is like 450. Literally, the industry city thing was 400 feet. East 400 feet north, and my goodness gracious, it's instead of it being what we had asked, it's not that it never went anywhere for the time being, because it will be back at some point. Okay, that never give up, stuff like this, that it should be, we wanted a minimum of 10 blocks, because whatever happens in the place, particularly dealing with traffic and pollution, like, sure, you're gonna tell a truck not to turn uphill, even though it's illegal to go on that block. We all. So that was my question: is the EIS, the scope of the EIS, being discussed at all and strengthened? Because as it stands, the EIS right now, the state is a little stronger, but by much. That is really problem. Huge problem. Yeah. I was gonna say, I mean, there's no EIS. Nothing gets triggered because it's as of right. That's
If there's a special permit, once
there would be a night. Yeah.
right, but we're talking about the quality of that. Is that conversation being had?
But there would also still be the findings from fields and DEP that would have to come within 45 days of the submission of the.
I understand that, but if the scope only goes the 500, the one, if the scope only,
you must, what are the findings for 500, 1,000 feet? That is like, it's almost more than an insult. That, to put out this, we did something. We thought that we didn't, we were listening, we did something, but it's actually nothing.
Totally understand. There's a lot wrong with the EIS process. It should be more stringent, you and possible, but that's unfortunately something that we're not working on right now, but it's definitely something that I believe so that they may be wanting to strengthen. So there's more to come, and I'm happy to follow up.
let's keep it in the conversation.
Great. So there's another question from Gambino, and I wanted to bring Emmett back up, and we'll just go there. Thank you, Kevin, for answering that. It's just around what can we, as a community board, our roles, transportation committee, we have coordinated weeks, but just like, what would you say that we could be doing on this issue specifically related to the Reconnected Communities Grant? We did invite council member Alex to the meeting to talk about this topic, but they were not available to send the press. So just thank you so much for being here.
I also want to point out like what the legislation does as well. So the legislation also does a couple of things, which I forgot to mention, but thank you so much for chair. So the legislation also it creates new definitions within the state constitution and define what heavy distribution centers are. Also creates definitions for fulfillment centers, parcel centers, as well as the centers that are most heavily engaged in the neighborhood, as well as who qualify as for this permanent processing. Any center that is over 50,000 square feet will have to undergo a process, which if implemented will create multiple things. But I think the most important thing is to require a yearly report for both existing facilities, but also for new facilities to report the amount of vehicle traffic coming in and out, the legal provisions, as well as people are being employed, as well as information for union and non-union. Almost likely, it will also mandate that these facilities also mandate that the facilities also conduct a zero emissions studies on the feasibilities of benefits and costs of implementing low and zero emission designation congestion hotspots within your state itself. So definitely, it wouldn't be the EIS that itself will mandate something like that, especially when we have too. So there's a lot of things that are happening, but definitely for us to be able to implement this at the state level, it's going to require us to get our other legislators along and as well as more to get on board as well. In regards to the Reconnected Communities Grant, I do have a small timeline that I want to share with you guys. In regards of what the city and state are planning to do, I like to submit the Reconnected Communities grant application was September 8th. From what we know, the city and the state has submitted it. We have not received a draft from both agencies on what was submitted, but they're planning to within late October into early November. The city and the state are going to plan to engage both Brooklyn North and South in some workshops and getting people from these two contribute, comment, as well as criticize the agencies on what they want to see, what they don't want to see. So that's going to be in late October, early November. In March 2024, that's when the city anticipates that the awards will be announced for anyone who applied for the Reconnected Communities Grant. And then in spring 2024, and this is coming directly from the city and the state, okay, they're planning an anticipated release of the BQ North and South Vision Report to get published. We are actively pushing both city and state to share the draft that they submitted to the federal Department of Transportation, but they have not. So
yeah, and just the point you made about the BQE engagement meeting. So the meeting is on the 6th,
yes.
Say that loudly.
November 6th is going to be, I'll just say again, the BQE engagement meetings, 6:30 is the 8th is virtual. And that is on the BQE engagement page. I don't know the URL.
I think it's bqevision.com or it might be .org. I don't know. I don't have internet. Chat, but if you Google BQE Vision.
Yes, I just want to say thank you guys from the state level, local level, everybody who can testify for us here in the community. We are with you guys. Thank you guys for coming here always. we can support you guys all the way. Thank you for doing your work. And I do want to say, at the local level too, on the community board, if they do pass the state level, legislation that, Emmett was talking about, for Marcela, to be honest, thank you very much. You know, this is, it means a lot to us, and we are with you 100%. We're behind you guys, 100%. And I just want to say, for anybody who's worried about anybody stepping on our toes here in our community, that's not going to happen. That's why we are here with new members here in the board, stuff like that. We're checking everything out, making sure everybody does their job. And we are going to expose people who need to be exposed or need to be called out. We're going to be strong with what's going on here. And nothing's going to happen without our approval as well. You know, like you're saying, at this legislative level, they're going to have to come down to the community board and ask for our permission to see if they're going to be able to come with their emissions or whatever. But we have the people power, and that's what's won throughout the whole nation. That's what's won everything. That's every policy, every legislation, every law that's been passed. We have the people power to do everything that we are set out to do. And thank you guys, once again for going up to the council and everybody here. Jeremy, it starts at the local level, and we're behind everybody. We're behind you guys.
That is a great way to maybe wrap up this meeting. So thank you with those parting words. And I'd like to motion to end our meeting. Seconded. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to our presenters and our questions.